Happy Monday. I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. I hope you're having an outstandingly good start to the week. I am told by the machine that we are live on Rumble, X, and YouTube, so everything should be going well there. And let us begin. Why am I here? What do I have for you today? It is the Quickening Moon. Yes, the full moon of February. It is taking place Saturday, February 24th, 2024. It is the full moon in Virgo. It is also called Rowan Moon, Ice Moon, Hunger Moon, and Storm Moon. So we have an occasion to prepare for. This will be more so applicable for the witches amongst my audience, although if you are a devotional pagan. This may also be an occasion where you want to perhaps connect to lunar deities that you feel an affinity for, or just soak in and absorb all of that heightened energy that comes with every single full moon. So there should be a little something here for everybody, but probably a bit more so for witches. So let us get into it. Now, the full moon, for those of you who may not be aware, or for those of you who are new seekers in the craft, those experienced old hands, talk amongst yourselves, make yourself a cup of tea. This will be brief. But the full moon for witches, it is the height of lunar magical power. As most of you who have studied any length of time will know, we draw energy from the divine, from ourselves, and of course from nature itself. And the moon, which in witchcraft circles is symbolic of the divine feminine at its highest point. And of course, the full moon is the greatest amount of power that you have at your disposal. Tapping into that is an absolutely ideal moment for spell work of all kinds. It is an opportunity to honor the goddess in Wicca, a triple goddess, silver lady. Those are also titles that you will frequently hear used. And of course, to honor lunar deities generally, whether we are talking about the god Mani from the Norse pantheon, or Artemis of the Greeks, or Aaronrod from the Celts. There are all sorts of personages that we might feel a close connection to, that this is a time where we can give them some extra attention, show them a little bit of additional respect. Of course, for us witches, this is an opportunity to draw down the moon. Now, for those who are not necessarily familiar with what that entails, that is essentially drawing a portion of the goddess's energy into our own beings for the purposes of communion, for very up close and personal forms of communication. And of course, there are occasions where this also is, where essentially the goddess will prophesy through the practitioner who has drawn her into themselves. Most often practiced by covens, but of course, solitaries can do it as well. It can be a profound experience, to be sure. The full moon is also the ideal time for both the manifestation of our magical workings and also for release. This is not the time when we set our intentions, that's during the new moon, but at the full moon, we are releasing that. So everything that we have been gradually working towards and building up for, because you should have been taking action that was in harmony with your intentions that you set at the new moon, all of that is releasing into one great big explosion of magical energy with the full moon. And that's another reason why I wanted to talk about the full moon today, as opposed to having a special live stream on Saturday, is because I want people who, if maybe they've fallen off the horse, or they haven't exactly had a lot of time to devote towards working towards manifestation of their intentions. You still have a few days left. Of course, you won't have as dramatic effect as if you had worked on it all along, but begin where you are and make the most of it. That's my philosophy. And the full moon is also a traditional time for divination. You can use your tarot cards, runes, Ogham. It's a good time for scrying if you're good with fire scrying or crystal balls, black mirrors, that sort of thing. But you can definitely get a bigger peek behind the curtain than what you ordinarily get. And of course, for the full moon, this is a good moment for both meditation and also for union. I touched on this a little bit with drawing down the moon, and of course, connecting with any lunar deities where this is their time. They're at the very height of their power. So, if we are wanting to draw closer to them, this is the time. Making moon water. Moon water is so useful for a wide variety of spells. And of course, just for using inside of your magical circles generally. I really like using moon water for cleansing circles, particularly if I'm doing any kind of night casting. Of course, another task that we have at the full moon every month is the cleansing and the charging of our crystals. Yes, those lunar energies, very good for the crystals. If you are in a place where you're not concerned about theft, you can set them outside where they'll be under the light of the moon. Otherwise, make do with setting them inside of your windowsills. And of course, the full moon, according to the long form of the Wiccan Rede, is the time to acknowledge and to seek our heart's true desire. And that brings up the question of, what do we truly desire? Have we been working towards that, or have we been doing things that are perhaps unrelated to our greater purpose? Again, this is another reason we're talking about it now instead of Saturday, so you have time to make adjustments if that would be appropriate in your circumstances. So, this particular full moon is in the sign of Virgo. The sun is in Pisces, the moon is in Virgo. That means we have heightened water and earth elemental influences saturating the magical atmosphere, so you'll be able to draw upon them. Because these are both receptive elements, that means we have hyper feminine receptive energy. So if you are female, or if you are having to address female issues, or if you are a woman and you're having any issues involving your health, particularly your physical health, this would be the time to do workings for that purpose. And you can also work on your root and your throat chakras. The root chakra is that which keeps you grounded and connected magically. And your throat chakra, of course, is everything to do with how you communicate, how you express yourself, the manner in which you express yourself. Perhaps there are things that you said that people have reacted to, perhaps not in the best way. Sometimes it isn't what we say, but it's how we said it, particularly in the online world. So if you're trying to work on that, I know I am, this full moon, best time to do that. And because we will be in Virgo, I should say, this is the time to be attending to details. So really make sure that you've, taken care of your preparations for your ritual. Any other details in life, make sure that you have eliminated any distractions for your workings. Just make sure that the little stuff is actually taken care of. Virgo is a very fidgety sign. Much love to all the Virgos out there. Mwah. Do love you. But Virgo has a very fidgety kind of energy, and if things aren't just so, it can throw an element of almost panicked chaos into the workings. And when we're at ritual, that's not quite what we're looking for. So again, take care of those little details. This is also an opportunity for us to make strides in balancing the intellectual and the emotional. If we have gone too far in either direction, we can have this natural counterbalance to work with. Seeking solutions to any problems we may be having through intuition and divination. Another good reason to do divination during this full moon. And also, what I've seen recommended is to think more so like a visionary to find a way forward. Instead of focusing on, here are the problems and my obstacles, this is what I have to do to overcome them. Sometimes what you need is an overriding vision that you're aiming towards, because not only that will that help you decide which method will actually help you overcome any obstacles in your path, but it also makes your obstacles feel a lot smaller. They're just an inconvenience, a moment in time. You have a larger goal you are looking for. So thinking like a visionary will be helpful. And of course, put intentions into real action. I cannot emphasize this enough. You get a much better effect for all of your magical workings if you are actively conducting yourself in a manner that is supporting those magical intentions. If you are doing one thing and you're magically saying you want another, guess what that does? It cancels everything out. And that's how a lot of stagnation is born. And if you are ever wondering well, why didn't my spell take effect? Well, were you putting out contradictory energy into the universe? That's usually a good way for us to start our troubleshooting whenever our magic is not having the impact we would prefer, because usually what went wrong is us. Particularly, we might have said we wanted one thing, but our actions proved something different. And guess which took precedence? Our actions, of course. So if we are needing to, again, make it necessary adjustments, either adjusting our intentions so that we're being honest with ourselves, or saying, what, I need to exercise some self-discipline. I need to change what I do because the intention I set is really what I want to achieve. So either direction, make sure things are matching up properly. Also, the Virgo full moon is an ideal time for us to create practical routines for ourselves, including our spiritual routines. I've seen a lot of chatter and debate in the online circles amongst witches about the need for self discipline, the need for creating routines, the need to be very quite regular with our practices and integrating our magical and our mundane lives even more to where they're completely indistinguishable. And there has been some spirited discussions on all sides. It's been very interesting to watch. I haven't quite delved into that particular fray just yet. But this is a good moment for that. If what people have been saying about, let's walk our talk. Let's not just be this something that we put online and create this image of. Let's make sure we are being real with ourselves. So this is a good moment for you to say, okay, how can I do more? How can I be more effective? What can I actually do? It's always the emphasis on the do. And of course, take a dispassionate inventory on your life as you are doing this. I think it is helpful to every so often to just go back to the beginning and ask ourselves some very fundamental questions. Because, if we are practicing the craft, we just can't afford the same self delusion that other people feel perfectly content to remain in. It gets in the way of the work, it prevents us from living up to our potential, and generally gets in the way. So don't find yourself in those circumstances. Don't let that happen to you. Now, next, a little information about the quickening moon itself, because this is taking into account more of the seasonal energies, particularly the energy of winter and all of its tendencies for us to want to go into deep hibernation and just not deal with the world. But at the same time, we're feeling that we're also starting to experiencing the very first stirrings of renewed life. Certainly, when we celebrated a Malk, we felt that energy, and it has probably been building up. I've been seeing a lot of conversations. People are like, "Where's my daffodils? Where are my flowers? I want to get busy. I want to get going. I want to start doing things." We are coming out of our hibernation. We're starting to move. So, implementing small, consistent changes, maintaining that pattern for progress, that will be very helpful to you spiritually. And working with this moon will absolutely help you do that. And of course, also work on issues related to your own personal development. And this is something that is very difficult to give any kind of generalized advice for, because everyone's circumstances are different. What I'm working on may have absolutely nothing to do with what you're working on. And yet both of us are pursuing something that's very necessary for ourselves, a refinement process, able to make more of ourselves than what we currently are. That's always the goal. So definitely take advantage of the quickening moon. And on that note, how are your New Year's resolutions going? Yeah, we don't generally hear people talk about that very much past January, but I am making it my mission to remind people about every 2 weeks. You'll see this in the daily forecast posts about, how are the New Year's resolutions going? I ask at the first of the month, I ask around the 15th, just to keep it up in people's minds saying, yeah, those things you said you really wanted to accomplish this year, here's your reminder. Are you pursuing that? What are you doing? If you haven't been doing it, now's the time to start or to restart and all these things. And of course, in so doing, we can acknowledge our own errors. We can seek to correct ourselves. And we need to focus on just reviving our spirit, especially if you've been depressed, because winter can be very depressing. A lot of people struggle with the lack of light, with the cold, with things just kind of being gray and bleak and kind of a dull sort of brown, not even an earthy brown. It's very the trees, have you noticed their bark at this time of year have almost this muted, yucky mud brown with yucky silver, depressing, not even silver, it's gray. The bark almost looks gray, and it's very muted and not exactly stimulating. So if you have been suffering with that, working on intentions and implementing little things in your life to make you feel a bit better can be very helpful. I mean, for instance, after I do this live stream, I'm going to be getting out my spring decor, and I'm going to start decorating for spring a little bit earlier. I had a very down in the dumps couple of days over the weekend. I do not want to remain in that particular frame of mind. So I think a little bit more of cheerful colors, a little bit more spring things around me, I think that will help. And of course, that means that as we go into the spring season in a couple of weeks, I'll be there, and hopefully some of this late winter funk will have departed from me, and hopefully you'll find something that also helps you if you are also dealing with that. So let's make our plans for this quickening moon. Preparation before our rituals that has a huge impact on how much benefit we actually derive from it, and being aware of the prevailing energies that are just in the ether around us at this particular full moon. That's going to allow us to tailor our rituals so it best fits the season, works with the energies available to us, and of course, so it's actually fitting our needs. We can enjoy this opportunity to commune with lunar deities and, of course, with the goddess herself. And I was thinking about offerings, about some people have, triple moon cookie cutters and other things, but even just a round shape, that can be a symbol of the moon, making cookies or scones or biscuits or something like that for the offerings. And of course, for the libation, wines, beers, teas that feel right for the occasion. I'm thinking for a full moon, white wines, perhaps dry white wines would be particularly apt. And of course, if you don't drink, teas are very, very handy for offerings. I've never offered tea to a deity where I felt like they rejected it or felt affronted in any way. So don't feel like you are left out if you are underage and really shouldn't be having access to alcohol, or if not partaking in alcohol is just a personal decision you've made. Don't feel like that you can't observe these rituals because you absolutely can. It's just an adjustment in what you do. And I would also suggest us all approaching our rituals with a sense of gratitude. Even if we've had a very hard time, there are still things to be grateful about. We still have opportunities for learning and for just opportunities for life to be a little bit better. Even in the bleakest of conditions, we can still find something beautiful. We can still find something uplifting. And even though that does not make our troubles go away and it doesn't change our feelings, we have an additional feeling we can bring into it. It is a reminder that the good and the beautiful is still real, and that can be helpful during tough times. So happy quickening moon, or at least it will be happy quickening moon on Saturday. I hope you feel a little bit more prepared. I hope you feel inspired to start finalizing your own arrangements. And, let me know what you're going to be doing in the comments. I would love to hear about, what you're actually going to be doing, how you're going to be working on. And I'm reminded of a meme I saw the other day on Pinterest. It said that every full moon, all witches have covens, because all of us are reaching out to that moon. All of us are working with its intentions, and we have a lot more built up energy, even if we aren't in circle with people in our immediate locale. We're still doing, excuse me, we're still doing the same thing, and we're still focusing on that same energy source all at the same time. And that has meaning and that has additional power. So even if you are alone, you are still never alone. So that is the last thought I will leave you with today. Short live stream today. I hope you have a good Monday and a good, strong start to the week. And I will see you probably tomorrow for another topic. So see you guys then. Bye bye.